Right guys, okay, I've actually installed all the components, so we're going to run through again with you. So basically down here you have your motherboard, and these are your RAM sticks, the CPU cooler under which we inserted the CPU, remember, and then on the back we did the bracket. That's a back fan for the exhausting hot air out. This is the graphics card inserted in the PCI slot. You have your power supply unit. If you turn it this way, and here is the hard disk drive, and on the back we have the solid state drive. Okay, so I've left all the cabling for the last because I want to do some cable management. So first thing that I'm going to do is actually connect all this bunch which came are the connectors of the case to the motherboard. Okay, so we're going to start with the most difficult one, which is a lot annoying for a lot of people, and these are the front panel connectors. So you got a few things. I don't know if you can read these. You've got something called HDD LED. It's for your hard disk drive. You know when the blinking lights at the front sometimes it's red, it's indicating some sort of activity going on. You have your reset button, reset SW. You have your power SW, which is your main power to turn on, and you also have power LED, which is a plus and a minus on this one. Sometimes it comes together, plus and minus. Now they usually go on something like this on your board. They are different on each board, and the best thing to actually do is to refer to your manual to be able to insert these. Some motherboards, they actually have kind of a connector adapter when you can plug these into the connector adapter and plug the adapter onto the motherboard. They're quite handy. I don't have this for this one, so I'm gonna have to just do it the old-fashioned way. It's very annoying. I would recommend, if you can, sometimes before you put the board in, if you can actually hook these in before you put the board in. You have to bring the board close, but I wasn't able to do it. So anyway, let's go for it. So so refer to your manual. So usually the HDD LED is also the IDE LED, and in my case it's down here. So there is a plus minus on most of these. Some of them don't matter, some of them do, but just try to find, they should be written on the board as well. The power SW, I found it here. They're quite a pain to do. I remember the first time I did the build, just couldn't figure them out. The power LED has a positive and negative, so you got to make sure you get that one right. And the last is the reset button, which is somewhere. Where's the reset? I found it. Okay, there you go. Right. There are lots of tutorials for these for your specific motherboard. I can't go because I can't zoom in far enough. Anyway, so that was the most difficult. So the front panel connectors are done. We have some more connectors here. Now, right, we've got the HD audio, and these are quite simple. The rest should be fine. And you can see one of them has actually got blocked hole. And if you find on your board something which looks like a HD audio connector, and on my case, let me do this last. Let me do you've got also the two USB connectors, and these are usually quite simple to locate. There's 1, 2, and 3. You can put them in any of them. Should be fine. There's only one way that'll go. One of the holes is blocked at the very far end, so try to match it to. There you go. It's just a question of plugging in. No biggie. And the other USB. There we have it. So the two USBs are connected and the front panel connections are connected. I just need to find the HD audio. Oh, that's the one. I found it. It's this one. The audio front panel. Okay, so just gonna cable this through, and here we are. There we go. Got it finally. And remember, don't force it in. If you're forcing in, it means you're doing something wrong. So you're gonna have to just take it out and readjust. So we're gonna have to cable manage these later. Okay. Now what we also need to do is to get the power supply now connected to all your components. So with the modular style power supply, the cables come separate, and so we're going to do this. The first thing is we got the big motherboard 24-pin connector. So one end is going to go into your power supply, the other end is going to connect to the motherboard. In this port here is the biggest port. It's blue in this board. So I'm trying to put some sort of cable management if I can. I'm going to filter these two, and on the power supply, I don't know if you can see, the port is down there. It's quite hard to see here, but you'll see it in yours. Okay, there's a latch up there which will go only one way. So you kind of plug that in until it snaps into place. There we go. I had to kind of nudge it in there. Okay, and hopefully this cable, I'm going to put it through the back for some cable management. Because as you can see, the back has got a decent size gap which should hold this. So now I'll put it back in there. On the other side, closest to the port, and I'm going to snap this one back in. And it will only go one way, so don't force, and snap. There you have it. So the motherboard is now connected to the power supply. Okay, next we also have to connect the there's a smaller CPU connector to the motherboard, and it's labeled CPU1 and CPU1. And again, find the corresponding CPU connector, which is somewhere hiding down there. Okay, you can't see it. It's actually the last one to the right on this one. So I'm going to plug one side there. Again, we're going to filter through our back for some cable management. I'm going to pop it up, and hopefully it should reach. Yep, I think it should reach. And if I can show you where it goes. Now this one has two 4-pins. On some motherboards they are 8 pins, so you must attach them together. On this one it's only a 4-pin, and it's this one here, if you can see, the CPU connector. So you can choose any one, doesn't really matter, and it only goes in one way again. So, and it snaps in. Voila. So that's done. Now what we're left with is to connect the hard drive, the SSD drive, and the graphics card. So we're going to do the graphics card. Okay guys, now we're going to connect the graphics card to the power supply using this VGA cable. It's an 8-pin and 8-pin. So we got 8-pin here and 6-pin. I think I need to connect both because it's quite a big graphics card, but I'm not too sure. Anyway, we'll try it. So on one end, it only goes in one way, and a bit tricky because there's actually, there you go, that went in. So cable manage as usual. I'm going to filter it through the back because I can, and pop it back in there. Right, and one of the VGA and on here, I'll just put in VGA 1. There we go. Okay, so that's now connected. I think I may need to connect this one as well, but I'm going to do this for last. Also, so what else have we got? We need to connect the 2 discs to the power supply. So this one is a funny looking one. So on one end, the Sata power will connect into the power supply, and the other side will connect to, I think I may need to do 2. One for this and one for the other one at the back. So let's find the Sata connector, and they are up here, so you can use any one of them. I'm just going to use the first one. Actually, let me use the bottom one. Right. And for this one, the closed one here, do I only cable manage? Probably. Pop that out, pop that in. So it's quite hiding there. There we go. Come on this side. On this side. And this is for the SATA power, and it only goes in one way. And look, any of these connectors will do. So I'm going to use the easiest one, which should be done here, like so. Here we go. There we go, and that's plugged in. And I need one more to get to the back, because the SSD is unfortunately a bit too far for this extension, so I'm going to have to use a second one. What I may need to do is I need to actually relocate the SSD closer to this one so I can use both of them, but it shouldn't really matter. At this point in time, I've got a second cable there. Just for the purpose of this demonstration, I am actually going to put this so I can complete the build and fire it up for you guys. And one more to the back, and turn it around. And here we go, any of these ports. So I'm going to use let me use this one just in case I'll be able to connect the hard drive to it as well for later. There we go, and that's plugged in. So this is now going to give power to our drive. I hope this is going to let me close. Looks a bit bulky. Put that back in there. Right, I'm going to have to do some serious cable management after this. Okay? And in retrospective, I think the location of this SSD may not be such a good idea, because I'm having to use 2 cables. So I will relocate this after I'm done with the build and fire it. Okay, right, so let's check. So the only thing that's left now is to connect the fan. Okay guys, so now the only thing that's left to be connecting to the power are the 2 fans, the back fan and the front fan. The front fan has a 3-pin connector, which I'm going to connect straight onto the motherboard, and you may not see it, but there's a 3-pin connector just underneath the CPU cooler. So I've filtered through the little cable, fan cable there, and I'm going to try to get to this. Again, live and learn. Okay guys, so I've actually removed the graphics card because I couldn't get to the pins. So now I can get to the 3-pin fan for the fan and plug that in. And all dandy. There you go. That's sorted. Only thing that's left now is I'm going to connect these Molex connector to one of these bad boys. Connect that there to give it power. And the other end is going to connect to our power supply. So I'm going to try to do some cable management after I've inserted back the graphics card, which shouldn't be too difficult. Now that you know where everything goes, there you go, it just snaps back in, and my thumb screw, and put it back in there. Okay, so let's do some cable management again. Back through there, back through out there. Okay. So, right, it's not the tidiest of case, and I'm using a lot more cables than I originally thought I would. But you know, there's not much I can do right now. Okay, so this end pops into one of these. And voila! Okay, there is one thing left to do, which is actually we need to connect. Oh, I forgot to put back my VJ card. That would have been funny. Okay. There we go. Snap back in. Okay, now we need some SATA cables to connect the SATA drive and the SSD drive onto the motherboard. And come over here. and these are the blue ports here. So I'm going to get myself some SATA cables and I'll see you in a few seconds. Okay guys, I found myself a couple of SATA connectors. One of them is a right angle one, so it should be okay for this one. So just going to plug one end on the board. Anyone doesn't really matter, but if you can, you know, just do the first one. So there you go, one side plugged in and the other side as well. I'm actually going to plug both ends on the motherboard first, and then I'm going to connect to the hard drive and the SSD. There we go. So, right, so one end is on the motherboard, the other end I'm going to plug in to the hard drive, one of the hard drives. There you go, snapped in. Now for the other one, pop this at the back, and I'm going to try to reach the SSD. There we are. Voila, I think that's kind of gone in. Yep, looks like it's gone in. Okay, right. Now this is not good cable management. There's way too much going on here. So I'm going to have to solve this out. But the essential thing is we've actually connected everything. And I'm going to fire it up. And hopefully it should work. And then I can do adjustments to the cable management after this. So anyway guys, so that was the build. So I'm now going to go. I'm going to obviously let me put the phone panel back on. Okay, and when I fire it up, I'm going to show you how to install Windows hopefully.